because otherwise, yay!
Thank
Okay,
you.
Shelly, go for it.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you. Okay, yes, tonight it's a film from Argentina, Puzzle, Rompecabezas. Rompecabezas. I hope I pronounced it right. And it's from 2010. The director's name is Natalia Smirnoff. She also wrote the screenplay. This film was nominated at the Berlin International Film Festival back in 2010 for the Golden Bear, which is essentially the best film. It's a story that finds a woman in life. She begins looking differently at the pieces of her life, discovering a special talent, venturing into a whole new world, and not just rejoicing in it, but realizing that she deserves to keep some parts of her life to herself. Naturally, this film, as I said, it's Argentinian, so it looks at things in a different way than we do in terms of its society. The opening segment, though, perfectly captures the situation at home for Maria. When we first see her, we see she's a middle class homemaker living on the outskirts of Buenos Aires. We see close ups of a meal being made as she prepares for a large party during which she serves. And we have no idea what's going on. You know, she could be working in the house. We don't know but she's busy. She's serving the guests. Excuse me. She's serving the guests. She takes veiled barbs from her mother-in-law. A dish is broken, accompanied by a snide remark from Juan, her husband, and she puts the broken pieces together. The broken pieces together, a foreshadowing of what's to come. With one piece missing, it can serve as a symbol for the film where a missing piece in life will be revealed. A missing piece in life will soon be revealed. Um, and then she brings out that cake featuring a big 15 candles. Only then do we realize it's her own birthday. This woman is doing everything in the house. You think there's somebody else who's going to be celebrated, and it's her birthday. She seems more like the maid than the wife and mother of the house. Even after cleaning up, unassisted, of course, she looks at her presents, opens up, and starts doing a puzzle. And seeing that the puzzle is of Nefertiti, no less, she even looks in the mirror, comparing her own profile, her own visage to that of the mysterious queen. That next day, begging off, going to a soccer match with her husband and sons, but not before her husband says to her, I like you a lot. I like you a lot. She then dives back into the puzzle, finishing before they return home. Out shopping, she looks at puzzles on the shelf, her husband saying it's a waste of time. But then she relents. She goes to the city and is entranced by the puzzles at the puzzle store. She also takes notice of a companion needed for a puzzle tournament. She sees the ask. That night she feigns sleep, begging off her husband's wants, and eventually goes back to her puzzle, hiding it under the sofa. Replying to the notice, she eventually gets the reply from Roberto. Overwhelmed by his home, he tests her prowess and, impressed by her unorthodox method, asks her to train. Ecstatic, she tells Juan she will be helping her aunt 2 or 3 days a week. Ah, there goes another little missing puzzle. I love it when she meets Carmen, Roberto's maid. Suddenly, she's the one on the receiving end. She's the one, and she is also surprised that to see that Roberto has more puzzles than the store. And now, when she visits her husband's store while helping with invoices, she overhears him flirting. Isn't it interesting that lady tells Maria about Tai Chi and hugging trees, especially when she overheard him mentioning to the woman he was flirting with? Oh, I think he's been hugging something other than a tree. Continuing her training, Roberto greets her in a bathrobe, saying he has the flu. He gets even more familiar, teaching her stretching moves. and trying to make other moves like that. Later, doing the Nefertiti puzzle, Roberto tells her she was a remarkable woman who changed things in Egypt. He tells her that doing a puzzle is like deciphering a hieroglyph and giving her a book on Egyptology. He hands her the book on Egyptology. When she and Juan take a trip to sell their land in a resort area, she tells him about entering a contest, and he bursts out laughing at her, even though he tries later to apologize. Not so easy. When Roberto springs the surprise test match with two women on her, they make insulting comments. Who is this, newcomer coming home late? Her sons are irritated by her expressions of independence. She's breaking free. Juan gives her a cell phone, I think more to check up on her than anything else, and gets into the Tai Chi, tree hugging thing he says he does with a friend. After learning that her youngest wants to use the money from the land sale to go to India with his girlfriend for 6 months, she's not too happy. And when she and Roberto sign up for the tournament, learning the prizes, 2 tickets to Germany and a voucher to Puzzle Mania, they celebrate with champagne, as Roberta tells her that Raquel, one of the women they played, can be very difficult. Maria remarks, of course, she was beating her. Then she makes a pass, apologizes, and gives her to puzzle. He gives it puzzle. He makes a pass and gives her puzzles to practice with. It is then that she and Juan have it out. He accuses her of obsessing on her puzzles, while he does nothing to reason with their sons. He has an angry outburst, kicking her puzzle apart. At the tournament, she panics at first. Roberto calms her, and they win. Excited, she calls and tells her sons, who are happy for her. And even though she tells Roberto she does not want to go to Germany, she is happy, and kissing him gives in to his desire. Getting home, she leans over in bed and hugs Juan. Waking up to a messy kitchen and then serving lunch, she says that she will go off alone to deal with the sale of their land, and asks everyone to help clear a shed to make it into a studio for her puzzles. She calls Roberto and makes plans to see him and tells him she won't be going to Germany. He still gives her the ticket and the puzzle voucher. She puts the tickets in a box in her studio next to the book of the secret of the pharaohs. And now she has a secret all her own. In the end, what could be more symbolic or revealing than seeing her content on the grass, biting into an apple? Biting into an apple. What we see at the outset is that Maria doesn't truly fit in either world, at least not until she's able to assert a modicum of independence at home and find the happiness in herself that she seems to have been lacking. Considering how close the director keeps the camera on her face, registering every shifting feature, we see she's terrific. And the story of Maria discovering a special gift and rejoicing is resonant, not only of implications about sexual inequality in Argentina's middle class. And even though Maria has an active and satisfying sex life with Juan, as we can imagine, we see that he still not only takes it for granted, he also doubts that she has any skills except to attend to his needs. And even her sons treat her like a servant. Roberto, on the other hand, represents a world she might have been aware of but never considered. Her experience with it fulfills her in ways she never dreamed of, providing her with the confidence to express her desires and exert her independence. She might even become her own Nefertiti. Concerning the cinematography, for the most part, Maria del Carmen's world is revealed through diffused pale tonalities, you notice, matching the pallid colors of her clothes and her skin. Roberto's home, on the other hand, appears slightly warmer, increasing the sense of escape into something more comforting and rare for her. The ending has the good sense to avoid a simple fairy tale resolution, recognizing that liberating escape or others' acceptance of new social order dynamics is usually the stuff of daydreams, and that the best a subjugated individual like Maria can often hope for is an opportunity to carve out a small personal place or of her own, just for herself. Maria Netto was her name, as Maria del Carmen maintains that faint flicker of a smile lingering on her lips. If you notice, it's just a faint smile, evoking a woman with secrets she is much too discreet to reveal. With minute facial movements, she can signal feelings that run from rueful to sardonic while remaining tantalizingly enigmatic. And when she bursts into a happy grin near the end of the movie, she conveys the uncontainable joy of a liberated sphinx. It's clear that Natalia Smirnoff had absolute and justifiable trust in her actor's ability to get inside of her character without overdoing the mousiness. Maria Netto combines an unsophisticated fragility with a strong center, and when she gets what she wants, there's a radiance in her smile that fills the screen. Sadly, she died in 2017. She passed away, but not before she made several other movies, which also gathered a good deal of awards. She is really was a terrific actress, and this film really displays her talents. But now I want to get into how you felt about the film. I mean, it's certainly, I am sure some of you should have some comments. I'm going to be interested to hear what Patricia has to say, considering Argentina. So, who wants to start? Who would like to start to dig into the film?
Shelly?
Yeah, Nancy. Oh, okay. Nancy, then
Linda.
Linda. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Nancy, well, Nancy got a,
Shelly?
yeah,
I don't know why I don't have the hand on here. I'm sorry. What I
that's
wanted to
okay.
say, I didn't care for this movie. I didn't like the lack of facial expressions. It was kind of like bland. And it's interesting because one of my favorite movies is Shirley Valentine.
Hmm.
It was a movie years ago. I don't even remember. I don't know if it was a foreign film or not.
It's
But
British. It was a
yeah,
British film.
okay. So then you know it. And here too, the mother is being taken advantage of. The daughter is ill. She's being a maid, having to go up and down with medication and all kinds of things. And she decides she's going to Greece. And that's her way. And it based this same type of a theme with a little bit, I think, more interest in it. I her expressions were kind of bland, and for me it was slow moving. So I'm sorry. It's probably
That
the first one that I felt this way.
perfectly okay.
I'm sorry.
Can't please everyone. But I think part of what you're saying is part of what the film is about. Being puzzling. She
Well, the
herself is a
puzzle I
puzzle.
liked. Yeah, it was the lack of facial expression. She was just kind of you know, bland the whole time. And
But
even with the
she's
smile at the end,
but she's inward. I mean, she had, based on the way we saw her at the very beginning of the film, she really didn't have much to smile about.
no,
But
no, not really.
she also was it was a very interior person, and I think that lack of really being overjoyed or expressing herself, which comes later on, is part of the puzzle. It's
But
part
which
of the
world did
puzzle
she
of
really
Maria.
believe? Where did she belong? I couldn't figure that out. To go back into that house with the husband,
That's the
and she said
point.
she
Neither
wasn't
could
going to
she.
Germany. She,
Neither could she. Okay. Nancy, go ahead, Nancy. You gotta unmute yourself first.
Um, I don't agree with you, Linda. Number one, any film with Kelly MacDonald, I'm going to watch because I think she's great.
Wait. Are you telling me you watched the American film?
I watched the American film.
Then
I
you
did
didn't
not
watch
see
the
it.
film. You didn't watch
I
this film.
I didn't watch this film.
No,
It
this
was
is an Argentinian
where what? I
film.
didn't see it then.
Yeah,
Um,
it was on Kanopy. It was on
that's why.
Canopy.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right, so I missed it. Same concept. What, Susan? What
Yes.
are you doing? What's the hands? Um, I liked it. I thought it was good, interesting, and but I'm a puzzler. I love to do jigsaw puzzles, so it talks to me a lot. It really did.
Uh,
So I didn't see the one on Canopy. Excusez-moi. I'll listen.
okay. All right. Okay. No problem. No
Susan,
problem. There'll be others weighing in on that one.
nobody told me.
Jackie. Oh,
We really liked it. I liked it a lot, to be honest with you. I think that it's classic empty nest syndrome. To be honest with you, the boys were grown and they were going and they were getting girlfriends. And I think that I see what Linda was saying, but I disagree because I think that's exactly what happens to women, actually all over, not just in this society, at a certain age. They begin to be invisible. The kids don't really need them anymore. The husbands have their careers or whatever. The wives have done this kind of stuff. I really liked that she didn't have much expression because I thought that was what her life really was. There was very little expression in her life. She did for others. And I didn't actually feel like they put upon her, they took advantage of her. It's the way it was. It's the way it is in a lot of places. Moms do that everywhere where they take on everything and more and more and more. So I liked how it built. I like how it went from her having no expression and being in that situation to sneaking around and lying about it into finding her life and that she was okay with herself. And quite honestly, I felt like it was a female midlife crisis, and we both really enjoyed it, to be honest with you.
that's well. It's interesting. You know how you internalize the film, and it's interesting what you say about it because I agree with some of the things you say. And it's interesting you say midlife crisis. To me, it's almost I always see these things as almost coming of age. You know, it's like
Right.
realizing self-expression. Just as you were saying, she had none, and now she was coming into it. Yes, I think that's terrific. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you, Susan Pauls.
Hi. Sorry, Nancy, it was not on Canopy here.
Oh, really?
No,
I'm sorry.
I mean our library has Canopy, but so we'll have to join from the Stirling Library separately or something.
Okay.
Um, I love the film. You have to watch it, Nancy. It's on Amazon for $4 and it's worth it.
I already paid for it. Okay. I,
Oh,
I I paid for the American version.
oh, I didn't even know there was an
But it's
American
the same,
version.
but Shelley, it's the same concept.
I
I
know it's
mean,
the same
it's
concept, but
it's very similar. The actresses are different,
yeah.
but
Oh, very
this
good.
So is
plot
Irfan Khan, who was
follows.
in the film. But
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get into. Is
uh,
anything with Irfan Khan, and I'm on.
yeah, but in the American, that's good. You'll like it. You'll like the American version, but
Right,
it's a
right.
different lens.
Well,
It's
I
seen through a
saw
different lens.
I
Yeah.
saw the original version,
Uh-huh.
and I loved Irfan Khan, and his character is so layered, and I thought
Yeah,
the men were very interesting in the film. Although they were kind of stereotypical, the husband and the brothers. One brother wasn't, and the husband you could see meant well and was part of his environment, that this is the way you treat women. And I wonder if she had had a daughter, things might have been different in
That's
the
an interesting
household.
question.
She may not have had to carry her own cake. Would have been nice. Um, it reminded me of a French film, which a lot of people recently has been talked about as being one of the best movies, is Jean Dielman.
Well, the yes and no. I hear you. I hear you.
It's about
I know, I know that film very well.
the
Uh,
frustration of a housewife and the normal routine of life, and
right.
going through her cooking and cleaning and all of those things made me think of that movie. However, the ending was a surprise.
Uh-huh.
If this were a Hollywood film, she would have gone off with him into the sunset. And my thought was that he might not be who he seems to be.
Uh-huh.
And there's always a possibility that he was using her to win the contest
Yeah.
and have a little sex and what the hell.
Hmm.
'Cause he was very charming. So I think it wasn't that simple as bored housewife seeks boyfriend, finds herself
Yeah.
in puzzle. I think it was much more layered than that.
Oh,
And
it was very, I think it was very layered. I agree with you.
absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, she was much more complex than we think. I think she was growing into realizing layers and parts of her life that she could fit together, but also she was now experiencing a new world in terms of Roberto.
And
Uh,
another man is not going to solve her problems.
well, okay.
And she's going to Montreal. Why Montreal? That was the town in the puzzle that she did. She was given that first puzzle for a birthday present and is sitting at the table, and it was a map of the world. And
Well,
she
wait,
figures she's
wait.
going
You're
for
talking about a
Montreal.
different movie. You're talking about a different movie. That's not the Argentinian movie.
I am talking about the Argentinian movie.
Uh, the,
No,
the,
that's the
the,
American version.
Okay. Now I'm
We saw
confused.
the American version.
yeah,
We
she
had a
got
deal
it
on
was a
Amazon.
puzzle of Nefertiti
Yeah.
that she
Right, it
got as a
wasn't.
gift.
Oh God. All right.
It's, it's okay. It's okay.
Could you please find out how we can get onto your canopy?
Yes, it's very easy. We were discussing it last week. In fact, Jackie, I thought you had put it up last week. Remember we were discussing 2 weeks ago. I mean, how to get into. You just put in Broward. You go to browardlibrary.org,
Okay,
and when you get there, you can maneuver through for an out of
that's the question.
Broward membership. It's
Okay.
$35, but you get
They
everything.
never responded.
Shelley, if I send you that in an email, will you send it out to everybody?
I can, but not everybody. I don't think everybody's on my email list. We can
Okay.
put it in here. Um, we can put it into the chat
You
if
guys,
you
you
want.
guys talk about it and I'll try to find it.
All right. So
All right.
sorry.
Thank you,
So sorry
Jackie.
to cause the problem.
They didn't
Thank you.
respond when I put that in, by the way.
They really? I'm
Yep,
surprised.
yep.
Okay. I'll have to check on that too. But Jackie's gonna bring up the site. Okay. Karen.
Well, I wanted to say that I really liked the movie. I thought that her character was developing. Once she broke the plate, you saw how she put it together like a puzzle. And then she got interested in the puzzle. She found something that she was interested in. And I think she found out that, she was good at it. She had a particular way of putting it together. And let's see, I felt like she actually influenced her husband into, wanting to do something different, like the Tai Chi and things like that. And then the son, cooking, because she came home the one time and they were cooking dinner actually, and she said she would make something, and he said no, he would eat what the son was cooking. Um, and then just in general, I just felt like her character, she was developing along the way, developing her love of puzzles, and probably would compete on her own at some point. Um, and that was my main thing that I felt like the character developed, but also her family developed they were developing as well and spreading out into their own interests. Um, and I think that was about it. But
Okay.
I was glad to see that she came back to her husband.
That's terrific. I mean, I do, you're answering questions. I think that the basic question is, we won't know what happens to her, and we can only surmise, and that becomes part of this. Where does she go now? Where does she fit in? Where, there's more to the puzzle as we like to say. There are pieces that she still has to put together in her life, but she's on the way. I mean, the whole thing is a magnificent metaphor from my point of view. For her, for all of us in a way, is sometimes there are missing pieces that we have to find, we have to put together to get the whole picture. And I think, in this case, she found self-expression. She also found a certain independence, which may not rock with that society, although I think it is in certain cases, but we're going to find out soon enough. Thank you, Karen. Phyllis.
Yeah, I loved the movie. I thought it was a delightful cream puff of a film after watching so many serious, meaningful, timely films. This was like an escape in a way. I thought the director was very brave to cast this mousy looking woman as the lead. She was really terrific. And I thought it was like a Cinderella story also. Here she's like the maid at the house and gets this opportunity to be at the ball. And I have two friends who are into puzzles and they exchange them, but they also keep them. After they're done, they put them in large pieces of board and they have them stacked up to the ceiling of the finished product. I don't get it, but apparently it's a very big hobby for some people. And it is a metaphor for, our lives and putting together these stray pieces and finding missing parts. I mean, I know it would have been a real Hollywood ending if she had gone off with this guy, but I don't know. I feel like there was really not much left for her, except maybe, self-actualization in in her home to find her meaning and reach a higher level of independence. But I would be tempted to be with this charming man and at least maybe not to be with him, but to go to Germany. She worked hard for it. She deserved it. And I think she should have just gone. And then, we don't know what would happen after that. But I thought it was a very delightful choice and sort of different. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Terrific. Yeah, and we talk about Hollywood endings, and I never talk about really endings in the film because it's was Jean-Luc Godard, the director, once said, every film has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, but not necessarily in that order. And this film has a new beginning at the end. And you'll see that in most foreign language films from other cultures. We see that there's usually a new beginning. It's not an ending. It goes on. It will go on. So I think this one adhered to that very well. Thank you, Phyllis. Sandy.
So I like the film. I thought it was very what I know of South American culture. I thought it was not unusual. I agree totally with Jackie that this was a person who was looking to find some independence. I think the puzzle metaphor was perfect. And I thought the ending was not a shock. She evolved, and her husband, she had a relationship with her husband, and it was clear. Her boys were there. I thought the ending was she went back home. She found herself. She understands that she's an independent woman, and she was not unhappy. She was momentarily at this crisis or this pivotal moment in her life where she had to find something else. And I liked it so much that I went to see the American version. And if I were to do a tagline for both movies, I would say the American version was a woman who was not happy in her life, that was looking for a life, whereas this woman was looking for how to make her life work. And the Argentinian woman. And I would say that for me, that's because not to talk about the American version, but it was a very American version. And this version was, I thought, very much more in keeping with I would say, my generation of women who have gone through sometimes periods of doubt of their own strength and what they've chosen as careers, etc. And I thought that and that's why the puzzle metaphor was so wonderful. And that's why it was so wonderful that he was a bit of a not knowing how if he was real or not real in terms of his honesty with relationships. But I thought that I would recommend that everybody see the American version, not so much because it was such a brilliant film, but because the very sharp differences in the relationship between the family and the woman, the husband and the woman, and the outcome in the end.
Ah,
So
interesting. Interesting way to look at
I
it.
think sometimes seeing the same thing in two cultures really works.
Yeah, Larry?
It's interesting because it's unusual in my experience for growing up films to be about middle-aged women. They're usually about men and rarely about middle-aged men, though the Danish film that you chose for us may be a little bit about middle-aged men coming to some kind of rapprochement with who they are and where they're going, or at least groping with it. But here was a woman who was a grown-up. She had settled into a life that had its downs, but she was who she was, and she was a mature human being. And in the end, she comes to terms with that, uh, emboldened and feeling more secure by virtue of discovering a skill that is meaningful.
As a matter of fact, at one point, I thought that the husband, there was a moment, and I can't remember the exact point in the movie, where her husband looks at her when she's talking about going to take care of her, the aunt or something, like he knows that something is a secret. It's almost as if he's understanding that something else is keeping her. I think it may have been when she came back late or something, and there was some excuses. And but I agree that Jackie and Larry and I think are thinking the same sort of thing. Um, it was the way it is sometimes. We're growing, we like our life, but there comes a moment when a woman says to herself, "Is this what I want?
Well,
Is this what I
it's
want?"
like the Peggy Lee song. Is that all there is?
Right, is that all there is?
And then she goes, "Well, maybe that's enough."
No, see, I think I'll get right to you, Patricia. But I think, we got to look at that society. There's a whole
That's right.
societal
Absolutely.
difference that we're dealing with, and I think Patricia's going to get at it right now. Go ahead, Patricia.
Yeah. Hi, Shelly, and hello, everyone. Um, yeah, I totally agree with Sandra. You just spoke, right? There is a there. I didn't see the American version. I can understand why it would be totally different. This is very quintessential middle class. I was having a little hard time figuring the time frame. It's not 2025, I don't think.
No, no, the film was made in 2010.
All right,
So
there you
my
go.
feeling is it's a little earlier than that. A
Yeah,
little
it
earlier
made
than that.
sense. It
Yeah.
wasn't, it was after the 2000s. I couldn't figure out but I think there is definitely in people with lower income, of course, these very structures, families, rigid family structures where roles are very defined are almost like a survival situation, right? And yes, it's a very typical situation, especially when there's only boys in the family, only sons, right?
Mhm.
Um, for me, what resonated as a so the cultural thing is, yes, clear. And what I would contribute regarding understanding the culture is that her family came from a suburbs of the city that were not particularly well off, of course, as is very obvious. But Roberto's was I couldn't place, he wasn't from, your typical wealthy family either. That's one point. The house was old and dated, and even though it was big, it was not, a, well-off place. I thought Roberto was rather sketchy, frankly. Um, he, I could understand. And then I don't know if you noticed when the two ladies, he invites those other two women, one of the first questions they ask her is, where do you live?
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, that is like, there's two questions that you are asked when you are part of Buenos Aires society: where you live and what school you went to. And that places you something terribly. I mean, it's such a there's a very vertical society there. So these ladies asked her where she lived.
Yeah.
She answers first with one place, which is a little more, more elegant. And then she says, well, it's really this other place, right? I suppose next to it. And they're kind of like shocked and ruled and say, oh my God, how do you get here? You've got to take a train and the bus and another train and another subway. And, obviously the city has 30 million people. You take hours and endless buses to get around. But then in that same conversation, Roberto is kind of trying to get them to be quiet, and they slip into English. Because they want to communicate without her understanding. And that is a very common practice as well. Before, when I was young and small, it was slipping into French. And with all the school system, speaking English, was a way of talking down to people. So there's this, I found him sketchy. He invited rude people, right? And I think she could feel all that. She sensed it very well. So I was not surprised when she said, I'm definitely not going to Germany. Because even though I felt like she didn't have the money and the upbringing, she had dignity. There's a lot of dignity in that lady. And not so in the others, not so in Roberto, not so in the two ladies. There was no dignity. So that was, for me, it was, she saw through them and had her time. And so that's regarding the culture, right?
Right.
And then on a personal note, what really resonated with me was discovering a gift. Late in life, I discovered a gift, and I could see, and it's an internal smile, and it's really all you need. You don't care. The rest doesn't matter. There's this, if you can do your gift and it gives you pleasure, and that you can do things that other people can't or not as well, like she could. She obviously had a gift. Even Roberto couldn't keep up with her, right?
Right.
But it fulfilled her. And it was a treasure, which I think she didn't want to mar somehow.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. You're right. Okay, but let's take it even further. The fact is, she didn't need Roberto. She didn't need
No,
Roberto.
no.
Okay, and the things she does, which really establishes her independence within the household, is to
Yes.
say, we're cleaning out the shed. It's
Yeah.
going to be my place.
Yes.
And she's got a place to do her passion. She's, she, as you said, yes, she's got a dignity, but she also is now, sometimes you're not aware of a talent. You're not aware of it until something happens to wake you up. And I think what was interesting was, as I said, there's foreshadowing at the beginning of the film when the plate breaks. and
Right.
she starts to put the thing together, and then she gets a puzzle. And then it's like one thing fits into another, and she's realizing, wow, wait a minute. But I loved it. The real secret was when she looks at the picture of Nefertiti, and
Yeah.
then she looks in the mirror, and she's
Yes.
looking at herself.
Yeah.
And it's she's discovering that she can be an independent woman within this structure, within the structure, which I thought
Shelley,
was very
I don't,
interesting.
yes, I've heard the expression, she's independent. I can't feel it. I don't feel that she's independent. I feel that she's discovered a pearl in herself, which she can treasure, but she is not independent from her family at all. And she never will be. She doesn't want it. They are part of her life.
No,
But
no, I'm not saying she's going to give that up and become a totally independent, free woman, but
yeah,
she's got her own sense of independence in that room, in that place. She
yeah,
has her own place. She has her own, it is
but
her own place. It's inviolate from them.
yeah,
And that's what's important is I have my own place.
yeah.
She didn't have one in that house, and now she
She
has
didn't.
one.
Yeah, maybe, but I think it was the recognition of the gift. I think that she
But
treasured her gift and the fact that she could, keep on doing it.
yeah, that she could, but now, it's not easy if you're living in that house for them to recognize that she's got it as well. And I think that's what is going to happen. First clean out the room, it comes in steps. Nothing comes all at once. And I think, in life, nothing comes at once. But she's
Right.
developed the gift. She's
Yeah.
developing it, and now she's staking her own little territory for it.
Yeah.
And I think that's already a sense of independence of saying, look, I'm not just here to serve you. I'm not just here to take care of the house. I have a part of my own life to take care of. And I think
100.
that's
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what it is. Yeah.
Also, I'm sure that the boys and her husband um liked her better.
Well, maybe they'll respect her a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Terrific. Thank you. Okay, I got more little hands here. Great. Jackie, go ahead.
Just real quick, since there are other people waiting to talk to, there were two things that we haven't mentioned yet that I thought were pivotal for me anyway. One was when he gave her the tickets and the gift certificate and told her he was going anyway. I think it dawned on her at that point that basically he had used her, and it made her look at things differently. And I thought that was very important. And I'll tell you something I absolutely loved is when they were cleaning out the room and they were playing the music. She's in another room and the boys and dad are dancing, and she
Yes.
starts dancing towards them, and the sons start trying to kind of dance with her. I thought that was I thought both of those were pivotal in her life and what it was. So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're all little pieces of the puzzle here. They're all little parts that we're looking at, and parts of the mosaic, if you will, of our puzzle that we're putting together. We have to take part in the story, and that's true. That's true. Terrific, Karen.
Well, I thought that his inviting those two ladies was actually part of her training because he was getting her accustomed to the trash talking that she was going to be encountering. And because he said, the actual competition will be worse than these two. So I thought it was just part of the training that she was going to have to, uh, you know, ignore all that stuff. And like he was telling her, because she was saying, oh, they're putting them together differently. He said, just stick with what you're doing. Don't pay attention to what anybody else is doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting observation. I look at it, I'm looking at it. First of all, I think there was a certain amount of jealousy
Mhm.
on the other women's part, believe it or not, because he's bringing a newcomer in. One of them used to be his partner, and now she's been replaced, so to speak. And who is this woman? And as Patricia said, the first thing they say is, "Where are you from?" Welcome to Boca, Patricia. There's, it doesn't matter when you live in a community, and that's divided in so many ways in communities, little communities. It's the first thing people ask, "Where are you from?" I mean, and if you say the wrong place, they go, "Oh, that's interesting," and then they walk off to another conversation. And here they broke into English. I mean, it's almost something that we see in every society. It's not confined to Argentina, certainly. And I found it interesting because yes, there was a class difference, a geographical difference, that she's from the suburbs, they may be from the city, all of these kinds of things going on. There's a lot of stuff going on. That's why I say as you watch each scene, you can discover the complexities within the scene. You can discover the little puzzle pieces in the scene. And I think that the director, that Natalia Smirnoff, was very attentive to that in the film. She was exploring that visually. And I love that. This is visual language. This is cinema. And that's what's important, is to convey something visually that you may not wake up to right away, but when you think about it, you start to put it together. So I thought that was terrific. Thank you, Karen. Phyllis?
I just had a couple more things I forgot to say. One, as a former librarian, if you don't hear from the library about Kanopy, call the main library reference desk. They are extremely helpful and responsive, and you will get what you need from them. And the other thought I had was that I would have liked to learn a little more about the puzzling itself. Why was her approach different from the other ladies? And I would have liked to hear a little description of the process, because I don't puzzle and I don't know anything about it. And I thought that was interesting.
Okay, stay away from them. That's my advice. Stay away.
I play bridge, so that's what I do. Yeah.
That's a puzzle in and of itself. It's really a matter of, I guess, from what I was watching. I mean, I don't. Some people, when they do puzzles, Nancy says she does puzzles, so maybe she can answer it for us. But there is a logic that you develop in looking at the pieces, and seeing how they fit. I don't know. What do you say, Nancy? You gotta unmute.
I have two things. First, who gave her the puzzle? Who was that gift
Somebody
from?
gave it to her as a gift. Somebody brought it as a gift.
Any idea who it was?
No.
Okay, so I didn't know if that was
I think
part of the plot. Okay.
The aunt,
In doing
It was a woman that gave
I
it to
think
her.
the aunt gave it to her.
Was it
think
the
it
aunt
was
that
an
gave it
aunt.
to her?
I think
Okay.
so.
Oh,
And then
the aunt who
because
broke her foot?
the puzzle place, well, you saw the American version. So, but I don't remember that. But in the Argentinian version, I think the aunt had sent it to her. And
I think
but
she gave it to
also,
her. She
yeah,
gave it to her at
she
the
gave it to her.
party. Yeah.
But one of the things that I know, I do puzzle. I like puzzles. I mean, I'm not
Me too.
great at them, but I like to do all the straight pieces first.
Right. Normally we do the
And
ends, the
most of
outside,
The
right,
and then you go
edges.
with
The edges.
color.
then
And
you
then
go
you
with
take the
color.
colors and you put the colors together, and then you start putting the colors. And it's so funny because last night we were doing a puzzle here, and I was giggling about the fact I had just watched this movie. So yeah,
But they're not allowed to look at the
normally
cover.
that's how we do it.
But
And
they're
I
not
think
allowed to look at the cover. They can't see the
Oh,
picture. We can see
right.
the picture when we do it.
Oh God, I would
Okay.
never be able
Okay.
to do it.
Time out. Patricia, what?
it's just I had we always did puzzles ever since I was kids. My mom brought them from the States, and we also did the thing of the edges first, and then you look at the picture and you go along with the picture and all that kind of thing. But a friend with my interesting experience, I was a small child. I must have been 10 or something. And my mom's friend's husband came to pick up kids, and he was an architect and an artist, this man. and he saw this puzzle that was just started. And it was, the wooden pieces that had lots of little tiny squiggles and very weird shapes. And he just went bam, 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 and just, well, he was standing there talking. And I remember my mom said, how do you do this? Well, you just look at the shapes. And I
Mm.
think because he was an artist
Yeah.
and an architect, this, and I think this is what I remembered watching this lady. She wasn't doing the edges thing at all. I don't think
Mm.
she was combining the color schemes with probably a very clear sight for shapes.
I
Because
think what she was
She said
looking
she
at,
liked math.
she looked at pieces and saw how they fit together,
yeah,
because
the shape.
that's what she did at the beginning with the play. She immediately
Exactly.
knew how to take it, so I think that's the way she was looking at it. But that's, like you say about the architect, it's a visual sense. It's got to
It's
be a
just
visual
logic.
sense.
Exactly.
And
There's
I
no
think,
logic. Yeah.
but that's why it's a perfect metaphor for this movie. It's
Yeah.
just, it's a visual sense. It's
Yeah.
having that way of looking at the world. And that's what she was also beginning to do, was to look at the world in a different way, and put it together in her own way. So she was, there's many puzzles. There's many puzzles. Its life is a puzzle.
He might have
And
been a very good artist and never discovered
yeah,
it.
exactly. That's my point, is
Or
she
a
didn't
good
know what a
designer.
passion was. Yeah, yeah. She was
But
discovering herself.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
This was
Anybody else?
it
Anybody
was
else have
cool,
anything they'd like
Shelley.
to add?
Yeah, go ahead.
Shelley,
Yeah.
Alex says, I do puzzles. I also would have liked to know whether she had extra ability in which skill to match the colors and know how the designs fit, or looking at shapes that are in complement to the ones in your hand.
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting question, Ed. It's an interesting question, but it's really not what the film was about. Because if we got into the process of building puzzles, we'd lose the sense of the film. It's really just a vehicle for us to understand the whole metaphor for the film. The film itself is a puzzle, and I think we have to look at, we're looking at the cinema. And yeah, I mean, I understand from a puzzles point of view. Well, wait a minute, I want to know how they did all of this. That would take another hour. So I don't think they wanted to make the film that long, and they didn't have a budget for that. So that's all I could say. But anyway, I'm glad you looked at it this way. Um, Anything else? Anybody else? Yeah, Bobby, you got to unmute, Bobby.
Okay.
There you go.
You showed this film before and I remembered it, which was a good thing because I could not get it. I couldn't get Kanopy. Can you hear me? I couldn't get it.
Yeah,
And I
I hear
didn't,
you.
and I was going to watch the American one to see the difference. And I couldn't, which is another story why I couldn't. But I taught nursery school and kindergarten when I was a very young person. And because I could not put the stupid wooden puzzles of 10 pieces together, I went and got the master's degree so I didn't have to teach people where I had to use puzzles again. And we did not have this long conversation the last time you showed the movie because I think it was in a class where we had maybe, 10 minutes to discuss it after we saw the
Right,
movie. Yeah.
right. Which is why I love these. Which is why I love
Right.
the Zoom.
Right.
For me, it's heaven. You're all a puzzle too. By the way, I'm looking at all these little squares, and I have to
Yeah.
put them together. Uh, it's We're playing Hollywood Squares. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's terrific. Yeah, I'm glad you remembered it. Yeah, I did
Yeah.
show it in class. I did show it in class. Uh, Anybody else? Anybody else have anything they'd like to add? Well, I'm glad, look, always remember what my little motto is, what my concept line is in my emails. It's not just film, it's conversation. Every film has a conversation. And it's not necessarily about everything within the frame. I hope you take it outside of the frame in terms of your own being, which you're doing. Bobby, you're mentioning about teaching. Patricia has a story. Everybody has a story, and it reflects from the film. We internalize films, and this is one of those films. This is why I enjoy this film, is because we can internalize it, we can empathize, we can understand, and see the meanings. So you all did a good job tonight, and I thank you. And what are we doing in 2 weeks? Okay, in 2 weeks we're going to be off to Turkey. And the first film you're going to see on February 5th is entitled Bliss. Bliss. And it's adapted from an international best-selling novel. The author, his name is Zulful Livaneli. He is a rather well-known author, and it is a kind of road movie and journey of self-discovery, unlike Puzzle. But the backdrop is again the theme. The theme for next month is really landscapes and longings. I call it landscapes and longing. These are very visual films. The cinematic landscape serves as a silent witness to deep longing for places called home. And where is home? And Bliss is one of those stories. It's about a young girl who suffers a violent event and what results from it. It deals with tradition. It's beautifully shot. It takes us to places in Turkey that are very interesting, and finally ending up in Istanbul and back. But it really is I think it's a very interesting film. And then in 4 weeks, we'll be seeing a film entitled The Edge of Heaven. Both of these films, by the way, were chosen as foreign language submissions for the Academy Award. But believe it or not, they were submitted by Germany. One was from Turkey itself and shot entirely in Turkey. The other shot in Germany and Turkey. And is The Edge of Heaven. I'll explain to you more when we see Bliss. Let's deal with one at a time. But Bliss is on Kanopy, and you hopefully should be able to find it. But I think it's a really interesting film. The music, the production, the acting, it all works together. All works together in a nice way. So I'll be looking forward to hearing you about that film. Any questions before we? Yeah, Phyllis?
The Edge of Heaven is it February 19th? 2 weeks?
Yeah, that's the second one. Yeah,
The
that's
second.
the second one.
Thank you. Okay, that's a good film. I like it.
Yeah, I know. I love it.
Lots to discuss.
Yeah, it's a great film to discuss. And you'll find that, have you seen Bliss?
I don't think so, but I
Well-
have tickets for Karl Ivanov later that evening, so I don't think I can come, but I'll watch the film.
Watch the movie. I think you'll
Okay.
be pleasantly surprised. Yeah, it's a terrific film. What, Bobby? Bobby, you got on mute.
Is it
There
anywhere
you go.
else? Is it anywhere else but Kanopy that we could possibly
Bliss?
find it? Yes.
I'm going to check for you.
While Shelly looks for that, you guys, I put in the chat, I pulled off what it said about getting an e-card. Susan Paul said she had problems with that. In it, it says put none for the library, but I put my email in there. If you guys will write to me, anybody who's looking for that, I'll check at the library and see what they can tell me, and then I'll email you guys.
Okay.
It's also for those of you who have Hulu. It's on Hulu.
Okay.
I have Kanopy and Hulu,
Okay.
is what I see. By the way, you can also, if you're near your local library, you can see if they have the film on the disc, if you have a player, if you're able to play it. That's the only other way I know of. But if you can get Hulu or sign up for 2 weeks on Hulu to see the film for free, you could do it that way. But you know, I apologize for the difficulties, but they are on Kanopy, which is what the library uses. Anyway, any other questions before we call it an evening? No? Great. Okay. Well, have a good week, good 2 weeks. I'll see you in 2 weeks. I'll look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank
Good night,
you.
Thank you.
everybody.
Night.
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 Good night.